So this part we are going to present together with Joanna. In this part of the session, we are going to talk about dependencies. Next slide, please. So this is a part of our session. We have covered how it looks like, and I'm going to describe you the risk of dependencies. Dependencies are great because they do bring us new functionalities that we do not have to implement on our own, but there are some risks. And the three main risks are the fact of having unfixed vulnerabilities in our dependencies. We may also encounter a dependency that stops being maintained, becomes an abandoned project, and if we depend on it, that may be a problematic for us. And then malicious actors may want to attack one project by getting through a code integrity of our dependencies. So the security of dependencies is as important and the integrity as our own code. So let's get a little bit more into details by examples. Two examples from the quite recent past. The XZ compression library that was basically used in really many different places, but people weren't paying that much attention because it was just a compression library, and it was basically a single person project. The maintainer had health issues, and malicious actors managed to do a social engineering attack to include a malicious actor as a co-maintainer during this social engineering attack, and that malicious co-maintainer included a backdoor in the project. Fortunately, that was detected quite rapidly after it happened, but that shows us that such attacks are possible, and there are actors who want to invest 2 years of work into making it happen. Then the second type of an example, the Log4j. Log4j is a logging library, also popular, used in many places. And in this case, in Log4j, that was a regular bug that had security impact. The problem was that a logging library wasn't considered security related. So the issue of Log4j showed that we are missing good handling of dependencies to figure out the component that needs to be patched in many different projects. When you are evaluating a new dependency that you want to include in your project, there are a few questions that you should ask yourself to make sure you are making a reasonable choice, both at the development level, at the possibilities to maintain that specific software, and also at the security level. So my first checks are related to the fact if the project is actually active, how many people are working on it, how many there are committers or maintainers, how active they are, because if it's a one-person project, there is a risk. Then who can modify the code, so who can push to the repository, what are the rules on the branch modification, so that I can check if there are risks of code integrity attacks. And finally, do they have stable APIs or ABIs, programming or binary interfaces, so that we can install updates of that project without too much risk of breaking the code that we have. So yeah, there are projects helping you to evaluate dependencies where the work is partially done. A good example of that is the best practices badge. You can have a look at the status of projects that are already included in there. You can search it for projects. I show an example of Eclipse Study project that is included, and this is based on a human field questionnaire. So you may add your project also to this database if you wish. Next, yeah, and then we do have tools that allow you to work with the dependencies that you already have, and this part will be presented by Joanna. Welcome, Joanna.
Thank you, Marta, and thank you for the awesome introduction. I'm going to be taking over from here. So we are going to first be discussing a couple of tools that help you automatically manage the risks associated with dependencies. And we'd like to talk about the Dependabot. First of all, it's a very popular tool. It's a GitHub native tool that basically helps developers automatically manage and also secure their project dependencies. So it helps you reduce the risk associated with these vulnerable dependencies, and also it helps minimize the overhead, so the time spent of doing these manual operations instead. And Dependabot, it's a fairly complex tool, so we want to kind of lower the entry bar to understand and start using it. So we're going to be talking about three main features, such as security alerts, security updates, and version updates. So security alerts, Dependabot creates these alerts, or so to say, tickets for vulnerabilities that are published and are affecting your project dependencies. Alert triage can be either manual or it can be sometimes automated through rules. And the resolution of one alert can be either dismissed if after your analysis you conclude that it doesn't in fact affect your project, or you can fix it by updating to a patched version. And then you can also customize notification preferences to, for example, daily or weekly emails, however you prefer. Enabling Dependabot security alerts is really quick, and it's something that you can do straight away to improve the security posture of your project. So we highly encourage you to do so. At the Eclipse Foundation, it's really straightforward. So to enable security alerts via the self-service or AuthorDog, you can set Dependabot alerts enable to true in the repository config file from Eclipse FDN, and this can be set either on repo level or at the organization level. And now that we've discussed how to enable it, let's discuss a bit about what is a security alert. It's basically like a ticket that puts together all the context you need in order to make an informed decision about how to mitigate that risk. So on one side, you have information about your dependencies, such as the package that's affected by that vulnerability and the version. And then on the other side, you have details about the vulnerability, so the CVE entry, so you don't have to actually go and look for the entry yourself in CVE databases. And with that context, you're able to make an informed decision and triage the security alert. And what do I mean by triage and how you can do that? First of all, you need to find your alerts. So those are in your repo in the security tab. On the left side menu, you should see Dependabot, and then a filterable table should pop up with all your open and closed alerts. Depending on the time that you have, you should focus first on higher critical alerts and check the CVS vector and exploitability from those alerts. And then in your analysis, you should check usage. So to make an informed decision on whether the vulnerability or the vulnerable code is actually affecting your project. And if it is, you should create a test branch, update the dependency to a patched version, run your existing tests or CI workflows, and if they pass, PR the update and merge it. But the last steps seem a bit tedious to be done for all the security alerts, and they are really manual and take a lot of time. So instead of doing that each time, you can enable Dependabot security updates, another feature from Dependabot that will create those PRs to update the vulnerable dependency to a patched version for you, and the PR will be linked in the alert. Um, so what Dependabot does, it checks if an update does not disrupt the dependency graph, and then creates the PR to update it to the minimum version with a patch, and it links it for you. You have the ultimate decision on whether to merge it or not. It's just there available for you. And to enable this feature, again, it's really easy to do via Waterdog. Just set Dependabot security update enabled to true. And again, it's available at the repository and also at the organization level. Lastly, we have version updates. This feature is not directly related to security issues, but it provides a great benefit to security as well. For this, Dependabot automatically checks for new versions of project dependencies and creates PRs to bump the version when a new one is released, thus receiving security updates and fixes as well. We have a lot of the official documentations are really good, but they can be sometimes quite complex to understand in the beginning if you're not familiar with the subject. So we put together a summarized version and some quick pointers on how to get started with Dependabot, and also alternative tools such as Mend Renovate in our security handbook. So make sure to check that out if you need to. And that will be all with this part.